Just imagine waking up with flawless skin, feeling like you have kind of a radiating glow. I mean, for many of us, that's the endless pursuit of good skin health, and it's often riddled with lots of skincare products, crazy different routines, which usually means quite a bit of money that you're spending as well. So what if I told you the secret to healthy skin for you actually involves your gut? So what we're going to talk about today is we're going to talk about gut health, how that relates to your skin health. We're going to go beyond this kind of meticulous skincare routine that so many people are in, these different beauty hacks, and we're going to look a little bit closer at why your gut has anything to do with your skin, what that looks like, what you can do to correct it or start to correct it today, and even the research that backs that up, from problems with skin like acne or even things like eczema or premature aging and kind of dullness to your skin. So how exactly does your skin and your gut relate? What does diet do? That's what we're going to go through. Stick with me over the next 10 to 15 minutes and let's dive into understanding your gut a little bit better so that we can make that make sense when it comes to your skin. So you do actually, in your gut, it's called your microbiome, and you have to have a balance of good bacteria and bad bacteria. Now, most people don't realize that you should have more good bacteria in your gut than you have cells in your body. So what does that mean? Because most of the time when we hear the words bacteria, we're thinking bacteria equals bad. But the good bacteria in your gut, you can think of them like soldiers. And if you were gonna go into war, you're gonna want more good soldiers than bad soldiers. We don't actually want any of those bad soldiers. So your microbiome is just a fancy word for the balance between that, or what's going on in the actual cells of your gut and with all of the different things that are supposed to be in the gut that are supposed to be helping you, and how that relates to the things that could potentially be hurting you. So it's called dysbiosis, when you get an imbalance between the good and the bad bacteria. The gut itself, if you have any sort of imbalance in the gut, what happens is the cells that line the gut, they're supposed to be tight and close knit together like this, with little finger-like villi, and they start to get inflamed, they'll crack or break apart, and this leads to inflammation. It can also lead to other things like hormone imbalances, and often can be part of that main culprit when it comes to your skin or acne development. So that permeability, meaning when the gut itself, the cells start to get inflamed and crack or break apart, that permeability, what it does is it allows toxins to enter the bloodstream. It kind of triggers this systemic inflammation, and that can lead to greasy skin. It creates kind of favorable environment for more bacteria, bad bacteria or bad soldiers, to grow. So additionally, it can impact specific hormones like androgens or things like testosterone, and particularly in women, you know, if you have too much, say 5-alpha testosterone, that's going to create baldness or even things like acne. So you really want to understand what's going on in your gut and how it's impacting not just your skin, but the other areas of your body. So certain foods can actually trigger an inflammatory process in the gut, obviously in the hormones as well. So things like high glycemic index foods can cause these like blood sugar spikes. So if you think like lots of carbohydrates in your food, that creates a blood sugar spike. And what that blood sugar spike does is it triggers the release of insulin. And when insulin is released, you can have more kind of that greasy or sebum buildup in your skin. Dairy products or things that are rich in, say, whey protein, that and casein, actually, that can elevate those insulin levels. That can exacerbate acne. And foods that are rich in, say, saturated trans fats, those induce inflammation as well and disrupt that microbiota, worsening your symptoms. So lifestyle habits themselves can be a part of this equation. So things like extra stress actually can impact and cause release of additional hormones and impact your skin. Poor sleep, alcohol consumption. We know that back to chronic stress, that can kind of disrupt the HPA axis. So that's part of your brain to your adrenal glands. It can elevate those cortisol levels. It can disrupt the balance. Your poor sleep habits, I mean, it really does make a difference in all areas of your life, how well you're sleeping. So poor patterns of sleep can disrupt that diversity of good bacteria in the gut as well. It's not just about like one type of soldier. Every soldier looks a little bit differently. So you have different types of good bacteria or good soldiers in your gut, and then you can have different kinds of bad soldiers as well. So we want to make sure that our sleep patterns aren't disrupting that, increasing the permeability of the gut and ultimately promoting that inflammation. And then when it comes to alcohol excess, I mean, it's one of the key things that can really mess with the microbiota, the environment of the gut. It also can mess with your liver. And really, when we think of skin, we need to think not just gut health, but liver health as well, because that's going to trigger additional systemic inflammation and really compromise your body's ability, your liver's ability to get rid of toxins. So we've got to improve our skin health overall through good gut health. So we need to take in things like, and write this down, fiber-rich foods, lots of fruits and vegetables. We've got to increase probiotic-rich foods such as yogurts or kimchi or kombucha or kraut, things like that. And we want to avoid those inflammatory foods. So think boxed items, processed items, all the things on the inside of the grocery store, or even sugary type of foods are really going to mess with the health of your skin. The other thing is you've got to have enough hydration. Your body it's kind of like a car. I mean, if you have a car and you're trying to drive your car from your house to the mall, it's going to require a certain amount of gasoline. If you're going to drive your body every day from sun up to sundown, or when you wake up and go to bed, your body requires a certain amount of hydration. So one of the first things that can impact is your skin if you're dehydrated. So goal for a half an ounce per pound of body weight water, meaning whatever you weigh, divide it in half, and that's how many ounces pure H2O you should get every single day, because your skin really is an organ and it needs that fuel or hydration to function. And then we want to look after different supplements. There are kind of a generic protocol would be getting probiotics, not just through your foods, but you can get that through supplementation, omega-3 fatty acids, things like zinc, or herbs like turmeric or even aloe vera. Now, if you're looking at specific examples, say with hormone imbalances, you want to look at things like Vitex, DIM, evening primrose, things like that. For inflammation, omega-3s are just awesome. Turmeric, green tea extract. For stress, you can look towards things like adaptogenic herbs like ashwagandha, rhodiola, as well as even for that mindfulness practices, meditation, yoga. And then for dietary, just straight up good quality dietary factors, zinc, A, D supplements, along with, again, lots of fruits and vegetables. Lots of, if you are going to do any whole grains, then you need to make sure those are organic and they're non-GMO whole grains. So we really want you to understand this relationship between the gut and the rest of your health, and specifically for today's topic, the gut and your skin. So I want to go through 5 specific studies that proves that these things work when it comes to skin health and naturally impacting the vitality of your skin through diet, through nutrition, through nutraceuticals. So there was a study published in the Journal of Clinical and Aesthetic Dermatology. It found that oral probiotics could help reduce acne lesions and inflammation by modulating or encouraging good quality gut microbiota and reducing actual systemic inflammation. So get a good quality probiotic. And there are different strains, as I mentioned, of good soldiers, right? So you want to make sure that you're getting the right strains for what you have going on. And this is something that if you do have a healthcare provider that's well-versed in probiotics and works with their clients every day on this, like we do, they could help you really determine the right probiotic for you so that it's serving you in the way that you're looking for it to do so. So second study, this was research published in the Journal of the American Academy of Dermatology. It showed that patients with acne who followed a low glycemic diet, reducing those sugars, right? They experienced significant improvements in the severity of their acne compared to those on a standard diet. So there is definitely a link between dietary factors, gut health, and skin health. So a third study published in Gut Microbes demonstrated that patients with acne had higher intestinal hyperpermeability or leaky gut, and it was compared to healthy controls. So this obviously is looking at that role between the gut barrier function and the beginning of acne and kind of how that progresses or the pathogenesis of it over time. Number 4, this was a pilot studied in JAMA Dermatology. It investigated the effects of FMT on patients with psoriasis. So it showed that, and this is actually, so FMT is fecal microbiota transplantation. This is a whole other talk. This is a thing, and people's lives are changed by it. So if you're like, what of a transplant and aware, Google it. So this result showed that FMT led to improvements in psoriasis severity and reduced systemic inflammation, highlighting the potential influence of gut microbiota on skin health. I personally have a patient that did an FMT. I mean, she had gone so many years with so many gut issues. She let it go too long. So let me warn you, don't let it go this long to the point where it was like a runaway train. And she ended up layering in on top of what she was doing with functional medicine. She layered in a fecal transplant, and I'm telling you, it changed her life. So number 5, last but not least, and there's a ton of these out there beyond just what I'm showing you, but this research was published in the journal Brain, Behavior, and Immunity. It found that stress-induced changes in gut microbiota composition were associated with increased severity of atopic dermatitis symptoms, and it suggests a link between that stress, the gut health, and skin inflammation. So if you're wondering how in the world can I be stressed out and that's causing acne, the mechanism of this is when you are stressed out, you raise those stress hormones. Those stress hormones don't just sit there, they wreak havoc in other areas of your body. So it really is important when you look at clear skin, maintaining clear skin, preventing outbreaks. You've got to dig deeper, look beyond just the surface area of what we're doing to our skin. Not that that doesn't have value, but if the only thing you're doing for your skin health is slathering yourself full of creams and you're not digging into what's underneath the surface, that's like looking at an iceberg and hoping that it doesn't take down the Titanic because it's too small and you're just chipping away at the top of it. You've got to dig deeper and understand what your body's trying to tell you. So adopt holistic approaches, go after diet, lifestyle, get some good quality nutraceuticals on board, and really remember there are individual differences for each of you. So it's not a one size fits all. It's not what worked for Joe or John or Bobby or Jane is going to work for you, but don't give up. You've got to look at where this is coming from, go after some real quality solutions, and trust that your future isn't just going to be full of expensive creams or elixirs or daily routines to try to get that skin to clear. You can do this. Have a wonderful day.